Hello guys, so for today's tutorial I want you to go outside and I want you to find something to draw in nature. That can be something that you bring inside, or you can bring your sketchbook along with you on a walk. This part of the drawing exercise is going to require you to really slow down and absorb the world around you. Just look. Try and notice things that you've never seen before. What shapes do you like? What lines do you like? What colors do you like? Observe those things and find one thing or two things that you want to draw. What I did was I just went on about a 15-minute walk and I found some flowers in a unmowed, like abandoned looking fields. And I was really excited about the purple ones. I'd never seen them before. To begin, you're going to need a pencil, an eraser, and some sort of coloring utensil. So I'm using watercolors and a paintbrush. I would really encourage you to use paints of some kind so that you can mix your colors. It's easiest to mix with paints, and I want you to learn to see colors for this tutorial. Alright, so before we begin, there are two things that I want you to think about. And the first one is line quality. Line quality is how thick or how thin your lines are. It's a really simple way to show if light is hitting the object or if it's dark. So if you have an archway and the sun is shining light on the outside of it, and your outer line is light but your inner line is dark, it's going to look like the inner line is in shadow. The second method that I want you to think about using is your shadow tones or your shadow colors. Try not to use black ever. You very rarely see black in real life, and if you think you do, slow down and really look at what you think is black. If you do, you're going to find that there's a lot of really dark blues, dark purples, and even little bits of silver. Drawing these plants was really fun because there are so many things I noticed about them that I've never noticed before. Like, for example, the flowers that I'm drawing right now, they have like really fuzzy little leaves. Like, they just look like tiny miniature lamb's ears. One of the things I like drawing about the dandelion is that the base of the flower is really almost like, it's like fuzzy, but it's like hairy looking fuzzy. Like, it looks like it's growing a white beard or something. This tiny white flowered plant is really cute because the base of the petals are just so almost indiscernibly pink that you're not sure it's pink. Like, you have to like look at it and you're like, I think those are pink, but then like 1 second later you're like, no, and then like the next second you're like, yeah. It's really I would have never noticed that about it if I hadn't been looking at it so closely. With this last flower, there's more surface area for it to twist into itself, so it was really interesting to look at, but I did kind of overthink it, I think, at some point, so I'm not entirely happy with the way this one turned out. And I think on my next walk, things that I'm going to look for are going to look more like this last plant, so that I can practice drawing things like this and improve at it. Adding color for something like this is really fun because there are kind of no rules to what colors you use. You just gotta squint and ask yourself, is the color I'm seeing dark? And then ask yourself, is the color I'm seeing warm or cold? If it's a warm color, make sure you add some yellow, and if it's a cool color, make sure you add some blue. If it's a dark color, make sure you add dark blue, and if it's a dark warm color, just the tiniest bit of yellow or maybe some red. So this yellow flower has some really warm yellows and some really yellow yellows. What that means is I'm going to just put down yellow straight from my palette. It's the purest yellow that I have, and then I'm going to mix a little bit of red with the warmer yellows. Dandelions are basically the same. They have some really brown yellows. In order to make brown, I add red to the yellow, just a little bit, and then I add the tiniest bit of green or blue, depending on if it's cold or warm. I want you to experiment and ask yourself what you think looks best. So I'm going to exaggerate the colors in the dandelion. It is pretty warm at the base, but I'm just going to make it like really extremely warm because that's fun and I like doing it. Right underneath the base of the flower, there is like a really kind of like reddish brown. I'm going to go ahead and make it almost purple just because I want to. And I might not like how it looks. At the end of the day, if I don't try new things, then I'll never figure out if I like them. So I always try to do something new every drawing that I do. And sometimes it ruins it, but it's just colors and lines. It's okay. And I'll learn something new for my next drawing. So this little flower is really simple. I don't want to add too much of any type of color because I think it's almost like a shy flower, like it looks shy. So I'm going to keep the colors shy, as opposed to the dandelion, which is pretty bold. So I used bold colors, if that makes sense. All right, so this flower is super interesting. It has really cool greens, so I'm adding a lot of blue to my green. But then it also has some really warm greens, but they're dark. So I'm using blue and green. I'm adding no white, and I'm just adding a bit of yellow depending on how cold or warm it is. For the flower, I'm gonna go ahead and use kind of like a dusty pinky purple. And remember, what I'm asking myself to get these colors is I'm squinting at the plant and I'm asking myself, is the color dark? Is it light? Is it cold, so more blues than yellows, or is it warm, more yellows than blues? So now that I've finished my color, I'm going to go back in with my pencil and just fix up some little details that got lost when I added my color, particularly in the darker areas. For the lighter areas, I'm not really going to add any pencil. I want to keep it as simple as possible. And doing this kind of just finishes up the work. It just cleans it up. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you learned something, and I hope going outside and finding what to draw was a good experience for you. This is one of my favorite things to do. I always learn a lot. I hope you guys are taking good care of yourselves and each other. Stay healthy, and until next time, bye-bye.